One of the greatest tight ends of all time, Rob Gronkowski, was recently spotted at a Raiders game. While there, someone asked him what he thought about the Raiders' new tight end, Brock Bowers. Here's what Gronkowski had to say. "What do I think about Brock Bowers? The guy's a legend already. It's unbelievable what he's doing." He was also asked about Tom Brady and what his involvement as part owner of the Raiders might bring to the team. Gronk replied, "Well, it's his first year as an owner, so we'll see. But Tom knows football inside and out, and he understands how organizations work. I think he'll make a big impact by bringing in great players and helping the team succeed." So, there you have it. Gronk believes Brock Bowers is already a legend. But let's be real for a second. While Bowers has a lot of potential, calling him a legend this early is a stretch. He still has to prove himself over the next 10+ years to earn that title. What's exciting, though, is hearing such high praise from someone like Gronkowski. This is a guy who's played at the top of his game and knows what it takes to be great. If he's calling Bowers a future star, there's likely something special about him. And then there's the Tom Brady factor. Gronk's confidence in Brady's leadership suggests big things could be ahead for the Raiders. Whether as a player or an owner, Brady always finds ways to win. Stay tuned. This could be the start of something big for both Brock Bowers and the Raiders. When asked how Tom Brady might impact free agency, Rob Gronkowski had high praise. He said Brady will likely do a great job because he's smart, knows football inside out, and can attract players. After all, who wouldn't want to play for a team where Tom Brady is in charge? This brings up an interesting point. How much does leadership at the top influence a team? Traditionally, most people would say the head coach is the most important factor in a team's success. And that makes sense. A great head coach knows how to call plays, lead a team, and create winning strategies. But Gronk's comment highlights another crucial aspect. The people managing the team also play a big role. In the NFL, all teams operate under the same salary cap, which limits how much they can spend. The difference comes in how teams choose to spend that money. Take the Dallas Cowboys, for example. They invest heavily in their offensive line. Their right guard is one of the highest paid in the league, their right tackle is in the top 10 for salaries at his position, and their first-round draft pick, Tyler Smith, might become one of the best guards in the NFL soon. Now, compare that to the San Francisco 49ers. They focus their spending on skill players, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. While not every team invests big money in offensive weapons, the 49ers prioritize it, and it works for them. Every team has a different strategy, but having someone like Tom Brady at the top could be a game changer. His football knowledge and reputation could attract top talent, helping the Raiders build a team that can win big. Every NFL team builds its roster differently, and that's what makes the league so exciting. Gronkowski highlighted something important. Tom Brady isn't just smart, he truly understands the game and how teams work. When Mark Davis sold a piece of the Raiders to Tom Brady, it wasn't just about business. It was about bringing Brady's knowledge and experience into the building. Davis has mentioned several times that Brady will be involved in the team's decision-making, and that's a big deal. Imagine a top free agent, maybe a star defensive tackle, wide receiver, or running back, visiting the Raiders. Having Tom Brady there to talk to them about joining the team could make all the difference. His reputation, connections, and understanding of the league could help the Raiders land key players. Brady's influence goes beyond recruiting, though. One of the biggest challenges for the Raiders is finding the right quarterback. Brady, who played the position better than anyone, will definitely have input on that. Whether it's guiding the current roster or helping pick the next star, his perspective is invaluable. Some fans are already talking about quarterbacks like Sheet or Sanders, but whether or not Sanders or anyone else becomes the answer, one thing is clear. With Tom Brady involved, the Raiders' future looks brighter. When it comes to top college quarterbacks, it's hard to predict who will make the biggest impact in the NFL. Take Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, or Drew Aller from Penn State. Some people thought Aller could have been the #1 pick, but there's a lot of uncertainty around which college quarterbacks will translate best to the pros. The key is understanding that quarterbacks can be affected by their college situation, and what works in college doesn't always work in the NFL. This is where Tom Brady comes in. His input will be huge, especially when it comes to selecting and developing quarterbacks. I'm excited to see how he'll shape the Raiders' future. On a different note, Gronkowski recently praised Brock Bowers, calling him a legend already, but there's still a lot of football to be played. Speaking of which, the Raiders have an important game coming up, and there's some good news. They're getting healthier. Aiden O'Connell, the Raiders quarterback who was injured just 2 weeks ago, is back and fully practicing. This is a big surprise and could have a major impact on their next game. Now here's where things get interesting. Some people, including myself, think that if O'Connell had started last week, the Raiders might have beaten the Atlanta Falcons. But now, with the Jacksonville Jaguars game coming up, the stakes are high. The Jags are struggling with a 3-11 record, while the Raiders are 2-12. If the Raiders beat the Jags, it could hurt their draft position. Right now, they're in line for a top 2 pick, but a win could drop them to the 7th overall pick. So, while winning is important, it also complicates their strategy for building the team long term. There's a debate about whether the Raiders should be focused on winning games or focusing on the future. It's not clear what their approach will be, but these next games will show us a lot. Looking ahead to next season, it's clear that Aiden O'Connell is unlikely to be the Raiders' starting quarterback. Even if the Raiders don't draft a quarterback, it doesn't make sense to move forward with O'Connell as the starter. However, for now, O'Connell is expected to start against the Jaguars, which makes this game interesting. The Jaguars are struggling, with a banged-up defense and offense. They're missing key players, including their starting quarterback. The Raiders might score a lot of points in this one. Aside from O'Connell, there's some uncertainty on the offensive line. Jordan M's ankle injury could mean a change at guard. Andre Pete might step in, or it could be one of the younger players. We'll have to wait and see. Something I'd like to see for the long-term future is Andre James playing at left guard. It would be interesting to see if he could be effective in that role. The Raiders should test this out and see if James has any potential as a guard, but it's likely that Andre Pete will be the one to fill in. As the season winds down, it's a good time to experiment with players in different positions, especially if there are guys who might not be with the team next year. Take Nate Hobbs, for example. He's a free agent after this season. It could be valuable to try him out at different spots to see what he can do. I wouldn't do this with Hobbs, though. He's too important to the team, and he should definitely be brought back. But the main thing I'm looking forward to is watching a healthy player who's finally getting the chance to play against the team that drafted him. This is a guy who was given up on by that team, and it's going to be exciting to see how he performs. Chaisson was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars with the 20th overall pick in 2020. He started for a year, but the team quickly replaced him with Travon Walker. While Walker is a solid player, I think Chaisson is still a good talent. After leaving the Jaguars, Chaisson went to the Panthers, but they didn't want him either. Fortunately for him, the Raiders gave him a chance, and it looks like he's turned his career around. Now, Chaisson is going to be extra motivated when facing the Jaguars, the team that gave up on him. It'll be exciting to see what he can bring to the table. He was asked about it recently, and I'd like you to hear what he had to say. But before we dive into that, I just want to take a moment to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this channel, Underdog. Without their support, none of this content would be possible. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, trust me, you're missing out. I don't usually play traditional fantasy sports, but I made an exception this year. The reason? Underdog's Pick'em game. It's super fun and easy. You pick predictions you think will happen, and they offer categories for nearly every player. For example, you might think Aiden O'Connell will throw for more than 125 yards, or that Dak Prescott will throw at least 2 touchdowns. You simply pick higher or lower for each one. You can even pick something like Caleb Williams having a rushing touchdown. It's a great way to get involved without the hassle of traditional fantasy leagues. Underdog also offers some fun stats with multipliers. For example, if a quarterback rushes in a touchdown, something that doesn't happen every week, you might get a 4x multiplier on that pick. Depending on how many picks you make and the multiplier, you could turn $5 into $400 or even $1,000. It's all about the right picks and the multiplier, but it's so fun to use. I play every week now. It makes even games like Jets versus Dolphins, without Tua, more interesting to watch. If you've never tried Underdog before, trust me, it's the best. Go to underdogfantasy.com or use the app. You can use my promo code that's shown on the screen to get started. Now, let's get back to the action. Chaisson was asked about the pressure of being a first-round pick, and he opened up about it. He said that the expectations were heavy, but he doesn't see them as a bad thing. He compares it to being a fan of basketball. If a player doesn't help the team win, you're going to feel some type of way about it. But he also understands that the expectations come with the territory. For him, it's all about staying true to himself, playing his game and not letting the pressure change who he is. Even with key teammates out like Max, he knows it's on him and his teammates to step up. The load might get heavier, but they're built for it. He takes pride in the dirty work and understands that good and bad things will happen, but no matter what, they're ready for it. Chaisson was asked about the pressure of playing against his former team, the Jaguars, and how he prepares mentally. He admitted that this is the first time he's faced his old team, so he's not sure how to handle the emotions yet, but he's excited for the challenge, and he feels ready. It's an opportunity he's been waiting for, and he's grateful for it. So there you have it. Chaisson is pumped up and motivated for this game against the Jaguars. I'm excited to see how he performs. He's definitely going to give it his all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with another video.